Dr. Corsi, I think Crowdsource the Truth viewers are tuning in on Wednesdays at this time, expecting to see Charles Ortel, but they're going to be pleasantly surprised today to have an extra dose, an early dose of Dr. Corsi's prescription for America. How are you, Doctor?
I'm great, Jason, and ready for Thanksgiving and looking forward to the broadcast today. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone tomorrow.
Happy Thanksgiving, yes. And thank you, Doctor, for your flexibility in joining me today. This is a special broadcast of Dr. Corsi's prescription for America. Because of Thanksgiving, tomorrow we'll be taking the day off. Charles is having a little bit of a well-deserved vacation, so it gives us an opportunity to talk about this bit of news that you brought to my attention from Zero Hedge, that a FOIA request that was intended to string up Mr. Giuliani has backfired in the classic sense. It seems these leftist lunatics, Doctor, are less competent than the Keystone Cops. What can you tell us about this?
Well, it's a strange situation, but there was a group, and it's called American Oversight. It filed a FOIA request. They were hoping to get dirt on Rudy Giuliani, because now the left has decided they want to prosecute Giuliani for something or other to discredit him and hurt Trump. I doubt that they'll succeed, or if they do, it won't hurt Trump anyway. But what came out is the FOIA request resulted in 100 pages being released by the State Department, and instead of doing anything to implicate Rudy Giuliani, what they did is contain really detailed information from the State Department on the Biden family corruption in Ukraine. So I mean, it boomeranged on them. They said, we're going to hunt for something about Giuliani, and what they got back is something they didn't expect to get back, and that is detailed documentation on these prosecutors who were involved in Ukraine and were looking at Biden's family corruption with Burisma. That's the natural gas company that Biden was on the board starting back in 2014. It's a complicated story. I've done a lot to really decode in my own news decodes, which we do on CorsiNation.com, and we're putting those up on Patreon as well. But for the last 3 days, I've been going through the history of Ukraine, the background of Ukraine, the Cold War. We may cover some of that today, because I think it's really worth emphasizing some of the key aspects of how Ukraine is developed. But the bottom line story is that this coalition of Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden, and George Soros, all who had the globalist view, together with the U.S. State Department and its globalist views going back to World War II, all decided that they were going to destabilize Ukraine, get involved in this 2014 Maidan uprising. Maidan is a plaza in Kiev that was used to do these protest movements in 2017, all orchestrated by the U.S. State Department and by Soros's organizations. The whole splitting off of the CIA and this New Democracy Group, which is an NGO funded by the State Department and Soros, has all these techniques for getting these color revolutions going. The Orange Revolution in Ukraine in 2004, the Arab Spring that we saw, all of these were orchestrated by Soros and the Obama administration. And in 2014, the current president of Ukraine, who was a guy named Yanukovych, who was close to Russia, in the coup d'etat launched by Obama, Soros, Hillary, Biden, he fled to Russia. He's a communist. Half of Ukraine, the eastern half, is Russian-speaking and is heavily allied with Russia and always has been. Wants to really be part of a separate country under the Russian Federation, but closely aligned to Russia. Whereas the western half has always been closely aligned to Germany, and they are still a Nazi group. So in this coup d'etat in 2014, State Department, Obama, all these, in Biden, they got together and they deposed Yovanovitch, and in came Poroshenko, who is the next president, who is the Nazi from Western Ukraine. Now, what they were trying to do, what Obama wanted to do, is they wanted to push Ukraine to be in the EU and to be part of NATO.
Mm-hmm.
Since, I guess, the last 15 years, or especially through Obama's administration, a whole series of countries right bordering along Russia have joined NATO, and it's made Russia extremely nervous. As a nation state, they're losing their sphere of influence in Eastern Europe, which Russia's had really going back prior to World War II. And so the whole destabilization, this coup d'etat, was designed to grab a hold of Ukraine, in Western Ukraine, with these Nazi factions. And the head of Burisma fled. His name was Zlovkoski, Zloczky, something like that. I mean, I'm not spelling it correctly, but Zlovchesky.
Right.
Because he was aligned to Yanukovych, and Manafort was doing the consulting for Yanukovych. Okay, that's all that complication is very important, because what was going on under Yanukovych was that there was an investigation of Biden and the Burisma corruption by Yanukovych that was started, that was continuing under Poroshenko. And in 2014, Biden started entering to get the prosecutor fired, which Biden managed to do by 2016 in Ukraine, so that the prosecutor investigating his son, this guy named Shokin, was fired. And one of the reasons Biden did that is Biden wanted to run for president in 2016 in the United States. Maybe he should have run in Ukraine. He might have done better. I don't know. But he got essentially squeezed out, because what Hillary did was they leaked the information to places like Politico and others that Biden's son, 2015 they were leaking this, that Biden's son was involved in this corrupt corporation, Burisma in Ukraine, that essentially his father had arranged after Obama said to Biden, "You manage Ukraine." Wow. Hillary had already raped Russia in the reset, and with Russia, Russia 1, which is the Ukrainian 1, where Russia bought the uranium of the United States, and Hillary and Podesta sold U.S. military technology to Russia under the reset. So they'd already raped that. And by the way, Hillary also had her oligarch in Ukraine who was paying her. His name was Pinchuk, Pinchuck. Doug Schoen, who is a friend of mine, actually, and a Democratic friend, I do have some in New York City, was the one who arranged Pinchuk to be contributing to Hillary Clinton. By the way, Doug Schoen is now doing the polling for Bloomberg.
Whoa!
But Bloomberg's going to get about 3% of the vote, I'm projecting. So I'm not particularly worried about it.
He's running on the platform of smaller sodas, Dr. Corsi.
But to return to this narrative, because I think it's really the context, and I want to give everybody, who's listening in this preview, especially on my YouTube channel and on yours, and getting the world out here to understand that the first hit that the Hillary people did in Ukraine in 2015 was to embarrass Biden in the press that his son was involved in Burisma. And then in 2016, they dropped that as Biden forced the prosecutor to stop investigating his son. Okay, and so by 2016, Biden stayed out of the race because he knew that Hillary had all this nonsense on him, and there wasn't nonsense, all this corruption on him. I mean, right. She was going to drop that. So Hillary now goes together with this guy named Eric Ciaramilla, who is the whistleblower. He's CIA.
Doctor, don't say his name.
Oh, no, we won't be able to broadcast the little banners forever.
We might. They might.
Oh, who knows
Anyway,
what they're
well,
going to do?
hopefully not.
If you embedded in it, I mean,
Then they take it. No, I think it'll be okay. But Doctor, let me just pause you for a moment because I do want to remind people that we'll be starting your broadcast, Dr. Corsi's Prescription for America, and it's a Patreon exclusive broadcast. So people who want to really hear the details of these topics that you're raising should join us just 20 minutes from now on patreon.com/Jerome Corsi, patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth, and subscribestar.com/crowdsourcethetruth. And as the doctor pointed out, we've taken to doing these YouTube preview broadcasts, which are also simulcast on the Jerome Corsi YouTube channel. So doctor, we've got over 100 people viewing right now on your YouTube channel, and I want to remind viewers of the Jerome Corsi YouTube channel, fans of Corsi Nation, that you can support the doctor with Super Chat if you're watching these preview broadcasts on Dr. Corsi's YouTube channel. You can also enjoy his daily decodes and the various posts that he's putting on CorsiNation.com. This is Dr. Corsi's free webpage, and it includes links to all of the different ways you can reach the doctor through social media, as well as his Patreon posts and links to the doctor's numerous publications. Dr. Corsi is such a prolific author, and I mean, every week on this show, we're just going back into details and facts that are referenced in some of the many books Dr. Corsi has written, and I'm continually flabbergasted. Despite knowing you for years, Doctor, I still don't know the full extent of the information and details that you've brought forward to the public. So it's very important that people review this library of books that Dr. Corsi has put together.
Well, it's to continue this saga. I mean, so if Ukraine, first Biden was corrupt in 2014. He got his son in Burisma. 2015, Hillary exposed that to keep him out of the 2016 race. 2016, Biden makes sure the prosecutor's fired so his son doesn't get sent to prison in Ukraine. Boasts about it, holds up aid, does a quid pro quo of his own. Okay, now 2016, Hillary, with Biden out of the race, decides she's going to start working with this Alexandra Chalupa, who is a DNC operative, who possibly has ties in with Ukraine, certainly a Ukraine expert. Ukrainians seem to think she's involved in Ukrainian organized crime or Ukrainian intelligence or one function or another. At any rate, they dig up dirt, Hillary and Chalupa, through the Ukrainian ambassador to the United States, who is in D.C. They dig up dirt on Manafort in Ukraine, that Manafort supposedly, when he was consulting with the prior president, Yanukovych, was paid by this black ledger off the books and in cash, which was all falsified. Wow. Two of the Poroshenko and Soros allies who brought this information forward in 2016 were tried in Ukraine and found to have interfered in the U.S. election in 2016. That's already been decided in Ukraine. At any rate, Hillary leaks this information on Manafort to the New York Times, among others. New York Times publishes, and Manafort is fired as campaign manager. So first, the effort was that they used Ukraine to block Biden. Then Hillary used Ukraine to go after Trump, interfering in Ukraine. And in the background of all this, meanwhile, we are sending over like $1.8 billion in IMF money, which is partly guaranteed by the United States. We send over about $3 billion in U.S. aid, including the first 2 years of the Trump administration. And it's all stolen in Ukraine by a combination of people. I think mostly one of Zlochevsky's silent partners in Burisma, who was a guy named Kolomoisky, another one of the Ukraine oligarchs who had a bank called Private Bank. And
whoa, wait a minute, Dr. Corsi. When I was looking for Burisma's office, well, we'll get into some of these details when we start the show. We're only minutes away right now.
That's right. Burisma's office is with Private Bank in Cyprus.
The street. It's across the street. Wow. So we're going to talk about all that, and I'm going to show you some photographs and things that I found looking for it on the map. Dr. Corsi, there was one thing I also wanted to bring up. You and I were speaking prior to the show about some problems that you've been having with YouTube demonetizing all of your videos. This is really one of the main reasons why we've created the show on patreon.com/Jerome Corsi and patreon.com/Crowdsource the Truth. It's becoming virtually impossible for independent journalists to bring this information to the public without the viewer sponsorship that we're encouraging on the show. I wanted to show you something, Dr. Corsi, having to do with YouTube shenanigans. I think you might find this sort of interesting. This is a very short little 1-minute clip. Let's just take a look at this for a second here. 87,684. Refresh. Take a look at the subscriber count in the upper left. 694, 684, 694. Very weird. So YouTube is just doing sort of whatever they want with the view count, seemingly manipulating it or having software glitches that do things to it. So it's very difficult to know what's going on with YouTube from minute to minute. But Doctor, we'll be back in just 14 minutes on Dr. Corsi's Prescription for America. I know everyone is looking forward to hearing the detailed deep dive that you'll be doing on patreon.com/Jerome Corsi and patreon.com/Crowdsource the Truth. Thank you, Doctor. I look forward to seeing you there.
Thanks, Jason. I look forward to it as well.
See everybody there. Thanks for watching.